Begin today standing, and we'll do our breath work there since I talked to you for a little bit of time. We'll begin with our Qigong. Okay. And so now we can kind of visualize, not only are we releasing the bones in the hands, in the gloves of the hands as we shake the hands, releasing up the bones of the arms, but we're also inviting the fluid in the tissues of the fingers and the palms and the forearms to move. We're shaking it since it doesn't have a pump itself. And then we shake the arms gently out to the side because the bones will hang a little differently. It'll put a little different pressure and tension on the tissue. And then we come back down. And let's shake out a few times and down. And just feel into how the tissue of the hands is interconnected with the tissue of the arms. And you may feel it all the way up to the armpits. We're inviting all of that tissue to move. We may be bouncing on the legs gently, inviting the tissue to move. And then let's release the hands back down. And let's float the hands up to the left, overhead, and down to the right. And we inhale as we lift the arms, and we exhale as we release them. Now, if you have any injuries in the body or you're feeling tension in a joint or the fascia around a joint, you don't have to lift quite so high because look, even as you circle the hands and lift them above the elbow, you're inviting the fluids to move. So we inhale up and we exhale around and down. Now here, even as your arms are moving, start to feel how you sway to one side and then the other. Feel into the soles of your feet on the floor, connecting the feet with the earth as you inhale and exhale. Notice how the inner arches may connect with the inner thighs, and how as you shift weight from side to side, you're putting pressure on one inner thigh and then the other a little bit more. And even working this tissue subtly is going to put pressure on that tissue around the lymph nodes in your groins. And then release the hands down and let's lift up to the right. Exhale the arms over. Let your body sway. And just kind of feel into, as I move, I'm inviting this water, this lymph fluid to move through the 2,500 kilometers of network for the lymph. I'm gently pumping it as I circle my arms and sway. Stay with the breath and feel your feet on the floor. Just this is being a good friend to ourselves in our practice. And then let's release the arms down and circle the fingers around the thumbs and circle the hands forward and up as high as is comfortable. And then circle the arms the other way. Now, as you stand here doing this circling, I invite you to hug inner thighs together. Find a gentle lift to the pelvic floor. Just waking up those inner thighs, you can now hug the outer glutes into the bone, to the pelvic bones. And notice how that creates a sense of stability. From that stability in the pelvis, draw energy up through the pelvic floor along the spine. And see if you can feel for the muscles that help you to stabilize the spine. And now take the arms out to the side, still thinking of hugging the inner thighs gently towards one another. Ground down into the feet, hugging the outer hip muscles into the bone. Press down the outer edges into the feet. Now right here, lift your toes and lower your toes. Press them into the floor and lift the toes and release the toes and press them into the floor. And do that a few times, pumping the lymph in the toe area of the feet, in the arches, and then release the arms and let them shake again. And then let them just gently swing forward to back. Let the knees bend. And feel into your body swinging. What tissue is inviting movement inside of it? Like I feel my quads, my hamstrings, my calves, because I'm bouncing a little bit. So we're inviting tissue to pump the fluid. And then let's swing the arms up and rest the elbows into the sides, palms up, lift the heart, and let the arms sway around, back of hand to back of hand. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, let the water fold over. And right here, still tune in to the adductors' connection to the earth, to the outer hips, to the lifting pelvic floor. And as you move the spine, imagine those muscles that stabilize it, stopping you from moving too far. Remember, the movement can be very small if you have low back pain, or it can be larger if that's comfortable in your body. And really just kind of explore your body with your consciousness. Which tissue is moving to pump the lymph? What muscles are stabilizing you for balance? And then pause in Wuji. And let your feet reach deep into the earth and open to the space all around you. Like you could open the pores of your skin and breathe through them, letting the prana itself invite the lymph to move. Just feel in with your own imagination to those 2,500 kilometers of water passageways, lymph. And let your arms float out to the side and float the left palm up and the right thumb under. And switch and switch. Feel into the rotating tissues of the upper arms, the hand and the wrist, the forearm. Maybe you take an inhale both directions and an exhale both directions. Can you be aware of all this moving tissue in the upper body while still grounding into the soles of your feet from the inner and outer thighs? Still gently finding a lift to the pelvic floor and an awareness up the spine. The practice of yoga is the practice of expanding our awareness. And then come to center and release your arms and roll your shoulders, one shoulder and then the other, one elbow, maybe the feet step wider, and we begin to sway from side to side like the ocean water. But let your elbow be the leader, and the arms gently circle as you sway. And then invite the arms to open in gentle circles out to the side. And let yourself be this fluid moving in your body, moving your body. The lymph keeping us healthy as it washes through. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that we're doing this class when it's so rainy in California. And then release the arms and roll the shoulders. Step your feet into horse stance, more than outer hip distance wide. And bring your hands back to back, fingers wrapped around your thumbs, pinkies at the heart. Take a deep inhale here. And then exhale, draw your right thumb back, opening your left palm. A warrior on a horse, bring the pinky ring and middle fingers into the palm. And let your gaze rest out over the index finger. Now pull palm and elbow away from each other a little bit more, stretching across the front chest, and then release forward. Pull like you're pulling on the bow, and release, and pull, and release. Legs, knees are bent. You're over the horse body with your legs. Hug in with the adductors, gently lift the pelvic floor, lengthening the spine as you pulse, pulling on the bow and releasing, pulling and releasing. Hands come back to back at the heart. Open the right hand out, take the left elbow away, circle in pinky ring and middle fingers, and pulse open across the front chest and release. It doesn't have to be a big movement, it's subtle. We gaze out over the index finger. Feel into the whole soles of the feet. Make sure they're well planted. Gently hug your adductors towards each other and see how that creates stability for the pelvis. Hug the outer glutes into the bone so the upper body can pulse with a stable base. One more. And then release the hands back to back. Bring your hands down to the hip crease. Bring them along the femurs towards the knees. And circle the spine like a dog's tail wagging. Let the head draw a circle. Now, we want to be strong from the pelvic floor up the front of the spine as we lean forward. You could be higher if you need to be higher. We circle and circle and invite the breath to move. And notice now what tissue you're moving in the body. Strong in the lower body to the feet. Take your circle the other way. Now, right here, we're really hoping, Kathy, that the multifidi turn on every time we kind of lean forward. They're supporting and stabilizing the back. And we can feel for that. Is there some strength that's kind of holding the spine together? And then come back upright and bring your hands up like they're holding a tray overhead. Well, actually, let's start here. Elbows to your sides, because some people will be able to stay with this one. And let's turn. Make an offering to the left, come to center, and make an offering to the right. These are the bear frolics. Okay, so we're going to exhale to the left, inhale to center, exhale to the right, inhale to center. Quick breaths. Exhale to the side, inhale to the center. Can you still pay attention to your pelvic floor, Your adductors, you're grounding into the feet as the upper body moves. Stop in the center and pause. You can stay with that one, or you can push to the left, hands to the heart, push to the right, hands to the heart. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. As you move, you may feel how even your breath is pressing on tissue. It's moving the lungs. The diaphragm's active. This massages into the stomach and liver. Pause back at the center. Really ground into the feet. Feel the base of the pelvis, both the inner thighs and the outer glutes. Ground into the feet strong. You can stay with either of those arm motions or bring your hands up like they're holding a tray overhead. And the first one, we exhale the hand out parallel to the floor, palm back, and inhale it up. Exhale and inhale, exhale and inhale. Let your gaze follow the hand as far as it's comfortable. Pause at the top, holding the tray. Let your head rest back, your eyes rest into their sockets. Ground from the lower body down, lengthen the spine skyward. Let the hot air balloon lift you from the center palate, but also gently lift you from the pelvic floor. This time, the left hand comes down by the hip, palm back. You may even do a slight twist back. We come back up, right hand comes down and up. The gaze follows. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Stay really stable in the lower body. Add the strength up the spine and only twist as far as feels comfortable. Here's where your obliques come on board because they're stopping you from twisting too far. Pause at the top, palms up, fingers spread. Spread your hands and then pulse the hands into a fist and spread the fingers and pulse, spread and pulse, spread and pulse, spread and pulse, spread and lift the hands skyward, still palms up, fingers spread. Bring the heels together, reach tall. Inner thighs hug together, zip up the inner thighs and press down into the feet. Feel that inseam of the legs hugging in, and from that inseam, lift up through the pelvic floor along the spine, and release your hands, fingers touching at the base. Inhale, let the arms come forward and up. Exhale, palms land on the top of the head. Inhale, reach the palms skyward. Exhale, release the arms. Inhale, hugging the inner thighs still together. Lifting through the pelvic floor, exhale, palms to head, shoulders relax. Inhale, reach skyward. Exhale, release. Again, feel into what's working as you inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. One more. And pause in your Wuji. Shoulders relaxing. Let the arms swing up towards heaven and release. We inhale and exhale. You can now instead exhale as you come up with a sound. Hong. A big exhale to bring the hands together. Quick inhale. Hong. 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 hung, 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 hung. Pause. Rest in stillness for a moment and feel how even the sound can vibrate through the tissue, inviting fluid movement. Now, step your feet a little wider, parallel to each other, and bring your hands to your hips, fists turned up. And we'll reach down, eyes look up past the eyebrows. Activate your front core and come back to standing. Exhale. So we hung, 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 hung. The forward fold can be as small as it needs to be or as large as is comfortable. Hung, 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 hung. Keep going. Fluid breath. Keep the movement going. Feel how you're pumping now in the groin area of the body. Hung, in the abdomen, in the back. Hung, 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 and pause in the lift. Let your arms relax to your sides. Line up the head of your arm bone, chest open, and pause with your breath. Hands come gently around the lower dantian. Thumbs can rest on the navel. One hand's fingers over the other, like you're cupping the lower dantian. Come into your small Pilates V again, and step 1 foot forward and bow. Hung, hung, hung. The bow can be small, the legs both stay straight. Hung, hung, hung. But feel how you're moving the muscles of the buttocks, the back of the leg, the groins. Hung, 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 and pause. Release your hands into your Wuji stance, palms still facing the lower dantian. Invite your breath to become quiet and calm again. Feel for vibrations of energy inside the body. Signs of healthy flow of energy, Qi. Smooth the breath, calm the breath, invite it deep without making it strain. Invite the breath to fill the whole torso. And notice how even the breath massages the tissues of the body. And as we breathe deep and open three-dimensionally, we massage more of the tissue. And we invite healthier flow through the body. Now step 1 foot forward and rock forward and then rock back. Now really let the arms swing gently. They don't go so far forward that they put a strain on the low back or on the neck. We just float from the lower dantian forward and back, and the arms sway from that centralized movement, from that balancing point, the pin of the opening fan. Move with your breath, inhaling one direction and exhaling the other. Feel into your inner thighs again. See if you can draw a conscious connection between the feet and the inner thighs, the inner arches and the inner thighs. the outer buttocks, the glutes, and the outer heel. Breathe deep towards the belly. See if you can slow the breath now. If you can lengthen the exhale. Connect the legs from the pelvis down into the feet. Lift the pelvic floor and lengthen the spine. Invite strength around the column of the spine. Not a stiffness, but a strength. And then inhale forward onto the front foot. Lift the back foot towards balance. And then exhale back. And inhale forward. And exhale back. You may balance on the front foot. You may balance on the back foot for a moment. Inhale forward and pause. Exhale back and pause. Feel how even the gentle rocking may invite a gentle flow of the lymph through the body. All the while, invite your consciousness of the arch to the inner thigh, the gentle lift of the pelvic floor, the strength around the spine. Now flow in one direction and pause for a few breaths, standing on that foot, really connecting foot through the leg to the inner thigh, pelvis up the whole spine, through the top of the head. And then roll back and rest onto the other foot or roll forward. Three-dimensional breath as you light up the connections. And then release the foot. And let's take the other foot forward and rock forward and back. See if you can become conscious now of inviting a deep three-dimensional breath, a complete exhale. Feel how even this three-dimensional breath invites tissue to move, invites the little rivulets of lymph to flow. And then flow forward towards balance in the pause and flow back, lifting the foot. Maybe it's just to the toe, maybe it can lift off. Flowing towards a lifted pause, building balance through short moments. Inner thigh connected to pelvic floor and long spine. Awareness of the arms so they don't pull at the low back. And then flow on one direction towards balance and hold. Three-dimensional breath. Holding the breath doesn't invite tissue to flow. And then flow back or forward and pause again. Three-dimensional breath. And then land and pause. Wuji. And step back in your space so that you can take 3 steps forward and then 3 steps back safely. Let your arms come to the sides, and we'll take 1, 2, 3 steps, lift up onto the balls of your feet. And then we exhale back 1, 2, 3 steps, and we inhale forward, lifting the heart into the new year. Exhale back into our own awareness. We inhale and open and exhale. Come inward. Support the spine from the front body and the side bodies here. Pause on a lifted heart and exhale your hands to your hearts. Fluid breath. With the pulsing energy inside, draw into your own intentions for the new year. Let those intentions flow through the 2,500 kilometers of lymph networks. One more time. Bring your heels together in a small V like you have a tennis ball between your big toes. Hug the heels together. Hug up the inseam of the leg to the inner thighs, hugging together. The outer hips then hugging into the bone. Lift through the pelvic floor and lengthen the spine skyward. Broaden across the collarbones and relax the arms. Lift the base of the skull. Lift the hyoid bone up and in. Find your shoulder blades on the back. And then let your arms fly out into whatever distance they'll go. And then exhale, release. Let your wings move as you hug into the bone. Inner thigh to inner thigh. Outer hip in to support the pelvis. Some of you may fly up onto the balls of your feet, inhaling, the heels still hugged together, exhaling. Working on strengthening the arches for balance. We inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Oh, one more. Pause at the top, reaching skyward. Feel towards each toe. And then release the feet. Feel the feet firm on the floor. Continuing to hug into this midline. Lift your foot either into kickstand position with your lifted heel against the calf, or place your foot onto the calf and inhale. Let the arms rise. You're hugging in. The inner thighs still towards one another. The outer buttocks, even in the asymmetry, you're not clenching, but you've got a gentle hug around to stabilize the pelvis. Lift up through the pelvis to lengthen the spine. fluid breath. And then bring the lifted knee forward and release your arms. Bring the other heel in. Hug inner thigh to inner thigh. Lift the pelvic floor into length. Hug in the outer buttocks. Perhaps you just lift the toes in your kickstand. Broad across the shoulder girdle. Inviting a three-dimensional breath. The rib cage to open, the diaphragm to descend on the inhale and rise on the exhale. A relaxing tension out of the shoulders, even if that means bringing the arms more open into a weeping willow position. Hugging into that center channel, inner thighs, pelvic floor, up the spine. And release. And roll one shoulder and the next. And let yourself sway back and forth. After that stabilizing work of balance, let the flow come back. Balance is a mix of that stability and our ability to go with the flow so that the little muscles of the feet can interact all the way up the legs to the inner thighs, up the spine to the arms and head. Okay, so a little bit different today. I'm going to have us take a block to a wall if we want the wall for balance. And invite, step onto the block with the foot closest to the wall. We're going to do a little leg strengthening and lymph movement. So we step up onto the block. We press the head up like there's a button overhead we could touch. And just let the leg off the block, dangle and gently swing. Now, part of the reason we end up with low back injury is that we don't have consciousness of how the femur bone can pull the pelvis and the low back. So place your hand of the swinging leg on your hip and feel for your pelvis. And try not to have the pelvis move much. That might mean your swing becomes much smaller. Really stand strong on the standing leg on the block, lifting from the inner thigh and the outer glutes. Lifting the pelvic floor, try to lengthen straight up through the head, so don't lean too much into the wall. A fluid, three-dimensional breath. Now we're going to add to this the knee lifting up in front and the foot dropping down. Knee lift, foot drops, the heel can swing behind, the pelvis can move a little. We just want to be aware of how much the pelvis and low spine move and how that feels in the body. The knee lifts, the leg drops. The knee lifts, the leg drops. Notice how you're really moving the tissue in that groin now. One more. And then let the foot dangle to the side, flex it slightly. Lengthen up through the spine. So really get that strength of the sunflower growing skyward and take the leg out to the side. Out. So now we're strengthening the abductors, the abductors. We use those to lift the leg out to the side, and we draw back with the inner thigh muscles, the adductors. Can you stay aware of really stabilizing on the standing leg, hugging in to help this outer standing body lift up so that you can lengthen through the top of the head? So those glutes interact with those lumbar spine muscles on that side to help you stabilize. One more. And then come back down. Now lift the knee up, forward, straighten the leg, and pulse it back down. The heel comes towards the sit bone in a bicycling motion. Let yourself ride the bicycle. Heart still lifted. You can start to play with putting less weight on the hand on the wall, working on your balance. Notice the strength it takes in your standing leg, the arch of the foot up to the inner thigh, the outer heel up to the glute. Now bicycle backwards, lift the knee, draw the foot back behind you. Really moving, pulsing the tissue here. And enough. Step down. Pause for a second, your feet outer hip distance wide or even wider, and do a few figure eights. And feel how much work that standing side tissue is doing. And it was having to be strong. So now we're inviting it to open up again and allow fluid flow. And so we rock the hips side to side as we draw the figure eights. Now draw the figure eight backwards. Feel into both feet on the floor. And the foot that was standing may feel like, wow, I was doing a lot more work. I'm tired. And just note that. And then let's take the block, or turn around or take the block to the other side. So step up with the other foot. Make sure I'm not going to kick my chair. And find that stable standing. Four corners of the foot on the block, lifted arches, and let the legs swing. Can you keep the heart lifted? A gentle lift in the pelvic floor. Hug in from that standing leg, outer hip. The glute med does a lot of work to help you stand in balance here. Really let the femur bone of the swinging leg hang down. Place your hand on the hip and try not to have the pelvis move much. Try not to have the lumbar spine move much. Keep the heart lifted, the shoulder blades on the back. And then lift the knee and drop, lift and drop, lift and drop. Standing leg working hard for stability. Up the inner thigh, through the pelvic floor, up the side of the spine of the standing leg. Notice how you can work to stabilize there. And then pause, foot beside foot, flex the foot and lift it out to the side. Try not to hinge too far over towards the wall. Try to keep lengthening up strengthening the spine skyward. Stay strong in the standing leg glute and the lower back of that side, all the way up that side of the spine, even that side of the neck, the standing leg side. And one more. And then come back in and lift the knee forward, stretch the leg out and bicycle. Notice how hard your standing leg is working. Try to stay with a three-dimensional breath, with a lifted heart, shoulder blades on the back body. And now take it the other way, bicycle backwards. And then step down. Step your feet wide again and come into your figure eights. So we've really invited this tissue to work, to warm up, to move fluid. Fluid breath, fluid movement. Good morning, body. And then keeping the feet that wide, bring your arms up, palm facing palm, hands together. And inhale, spread the hands, palms out, lift the heart. And exhale. As you cat curl the spine, lift the pelvic floor and draw energy up the front of the spine, strengthening. And then inhale as you lift the heart, lift through the thoracic spine, strengthening. Exhaling the movement and then inhaling. Exhaling the movement and then inhaling. Notice if you're more awake in your lower body now. And then release your arms. And after all that good work, let's come into a gentle forward fold. So you can either come onto your chair In fact, today, let's all come onto our chair. Come onto your chair, bring the blocks forward, and we'll do a wide-legged forward fold. We just did a lot of good warm-up in the hips. Sit your sit bones at the front of the chair. Lengthen your spine skyward. Now right here, can you find that gentle lift of the pelvic floor? Remember, that is one of your main 3 core muscles that support the spine. We lift the pelvic floor. Take a deep inhale, exhale through pursed lips, activate your transverse abdominis. Inhale up the length of the spine. Exhale, hollowing your groins, fold forward. Bringing your hands to your blocks. Now bring the blocks together and place your left hand on the block, right hand to the side. Now when you're folded forward like this, you're kind of compressing those lymph nodes. We want kind of compression and release sometimes to help the flow. We float the right shoulder blade onto the right ribs. Lengthen through the spine. Lengthen out the arms into the ground, into the air. Now you can stay here working on strength, or you can lift the right fingertips however far they go, making sure you're guiding with the shoulder blade on the back. Knees stay open, feet grounding. And then exhale, release the twist, bringing the right hand to the blocks, left hand dangling to the side. Make sure you're not locking your elbow, and float the arm out, grounding into the feet, lengthening the spine. Lift the left fingertips if you like. Remember, you're leading from the shoulder. Fluid breath. 3-dimensional breath, pulsing the tissue here in the twist. And then exhale and release. Take your blocks as wide as you need them to be and forward into your forward fold. Remember, you want it to be from the hips. Lengthening forward. Breathe 3-dimensionally into the torso. Relaxing on your exhales. Inviting this moment of relaxing into your forward fold to be a place where you can release tension from the body so the tissues can flow. The fluids in the tissues can flow. And then walk yourself back in. Come to sitting. Legs still open wide. If you'd like, you can bring the blocks into the inseam of your foot. And inhale, your right arm up alongside the ear. Now really lengthen and stretch the left side body. Feel in towards the spine. Lengthen both sides of the spine. And then if you want to come a little lower, do so. If you want to press into the forearm and lift the heart, do so. Feel into the strength it takes to hold the body, the torso up from the side you're leaning towards. Really become more conscious of that strengthening of the side spine. Some of you may want to come into a bit of a rainbow, opening the upper side body. But keep aware of the lower side body lifting. Feel into how you're stretching some of the tissue, you're pulsing it, you're inviting movement inside. And then ground the feet and float back up, bringing the left arm beside the ear. Now you could stay upright here. Even the lean or a bend to the elbow, you start to feel, oh, that side body has to work. The outer side body of the spine has to stabilize. Maybe you come down to your forearm, maybe not. Inhale, broaden across the shoulder girdle. Maybe you lift the heart. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, inviting length through the neck. Feel into strengthening the muscles along the neck, and if they're overly gripped, come higher. Some of you may rainbow the side bodies. Feel into the underside lifting. Feel for your three-dimensional breath. Feel how the breath pumps the tissue, expanding and releasing it. And then exhale, float back up. Let your head gently bobble side to side, releasing tension in the neck. Now we have lots of lymph nodes in the neck, so let your left ear gently relax towards your left shoulder. Open your right arm palm up and take the thumb slightly back. Let the gaze turn towards the left knee or the left foot or beyond. Nod your head a little yes, and see where can I find opening of the tissue of the neck, and breathe into that stretch. Grounding the sit bones, feel yourself stabilize from the underside. Lengthen. The lengthening may add additional stretch. And then let your gaze turn back to neutral, your hand release, your head come up. And take the right ear towards the right shoulder. This may be enough for some of you. Lengthen the neck. Feel support on the underside, support on the upper outer muscles. Lifting the left hand, thumb back. If you want to go farther, you can turn your gaze to the right. You can nod the head yes. You can find your own stretch. And then invite the breath to massage the tissue. And then turn the gaze to neutral, release, and let the head bobble. And walk the feet together. And let's come now to the floor. Okay, please have your blocks or your bolster, or both, maybe both. You might want to go ahead and put on your sweaters or your socks. But we are still going to be doing some work, so if your feet get hot, you may not want to do that yet. I'm ready for my sweater. Okay, if you need a pillow for your head, bring that in. If you want your eye pillow and your blankets for Shavasana, have those ready. And then lay down in constructive rest. Heels aligned with your sit bones. Let your palms open skyward. Arms out at about a 30-degree angle from the torso or a little more. And come into your somatic walking. Rest the collarbones open, the shoulders into the hug of gravity, and let your hips move. Fluid breath, one side of the pelvis lifting and relaxing, and then the other. Fluid breath. Feel what tissue in your body is moving. Shoulders relaxed, broad. Invite the movement all the way up along the spine, even into the neck. Release your jaw. Let it hinge back and forward a few times, side to side. And if we stay with this rocking, we can really relax some of the hypertonic muscles along the spine. And those muscles that get really tight and rigid, we want we want flow through those as well. So we're really trying to relax into this kind of fluid motion of somatic walking. Rocking gently side to side. One hip lifts, we press into that foot. That knee goes forward. Again, we're pulsing the lymph nodes in the groins. And then rest the pelvis back. And bring the right ankle up over the left femur and let the right knee open wide. Can you keep your shoulder girdle grounded back and exhale? Lift the right shin in towards the chest and exhale the left foot back to the ground. Draw the leg in and release. If you'd prefer, you can exhale the legs up and inhale the foot down. Notice how the torso rocks a little. The spine and the pelvis rock too. And then draw the legs up, and if you'd like, wrap your hands around the femur or around the shin and gently rock side to side. Stay with your fluid three-dimensional breath. We did a lot of good work with the hips today. That standing on the block work strengthens the glute med and those external hip rotators. We worked with your abductors we worked with. So now we're inviting them to open, to stretch. Maybe you can hug the leg a little closer after the rocking, but don't bunch the shoulders up around the neck. Keep the jaw, the eyes, the face relaxed. Because these muscles of our social interaction, when they relax, they send a sense of well-being to the other muscles in the body. And then release the foot to the floor, the other foot off the knee, and switch sides. And letting your arms rest out to the side, use your core to exhale the legs in towards the chest. And release the foot back down. And exhale in and inhale down, or vice versa. Just gently pulsing the body. Now the head, shoulders, and arms are stable as the lower body moves. Use a gentle energy in from the navel up the front of the spine to stabilize the spine so it doesn't overly arch. That spinal strengthening is everywhere when we become conscious of it. We exhale, we hug in, perhaps wrap our hands or strap around the femur or around the shin, and rock gently side to side. You could have your foot on a block here and just be resting with this opening. Wherever you are, if you're feeling a little stretch in the hip tissue, that's great. Keep the lifted foot that's over the femur flexed so that you protect the knee closest to you. And then exhale and release the foot, the other foot. Okay, let's do some gentle core work here. Floating one leg to tabletop and the other to joint. If you need a blanket under your pelvis, put it there. In that case, you'd take the pillow out. Exhale, one foot towards the floor. Inhale, one foot towards the floor and exhale it up. Inhale the other and exhale. Let your arms rest in a T broad and really try to rest the base of the skull back, the shoulder girdle broad, the arms heavy. And today, now come back up and hug your inner thighs together. Hug your feet together. Hug the outer hips in to stabilize the pelvis. And take your legs just slightly off to the left. You're getting your stabilizers to work in the back body. You could come more fully into a twist if you feel like you can support around your spine. And you could even straighten the top leg, those of you who do Pilates. Really ground across the shoulder girdle and then bend that straight leg back in. Activate your core. Use your breath to bring the legs back to the middle. Take the knees slightly off to the right. Ground through the left arm. Pause there. Feel in along the spine. Find a place where you can feel like, yes, I can support this gentle twist. Some of you may go a little farther and straighten the top leg. Ground and open across the shoulder girdle. Strong along the column of the spine. And then bend that leg and come back to center. And hug the knees into the chest and circle them wide and back together again. So part of strengthening the spine is to become conscious of it. Let's take the circles the other way. And let's try this exercise one more time. Come up, legs together. Open the arms into a T. Hug the midline, inner thigh to inner thigh, lifting the pelvic floor. Strengthen along your spine. Ground the shoulders and the head and the sacrum. Now the sacrum will lift, but stay strong. Glutes hug into the bone as you take the knees off slightly to the left. Feel into strength around your spine support. Maybe you straighten the top leg, maybe not. Maybe that adds too much weight. Really press into the arm you're twisting towards, broad across the shoulder girdle. And then bend the knee and come back to center. You can do just an inch over and still get some benefit along the spine. Or you could try 2 inches. The pelvis lifts off a little bit. Hug the glutes in, lift the pelvic floor. Set your base even here. Strong around the column of the spine. You may open the upper leg or not. Honor your body. Strong around the spine. And then bend the knee and come back to center. And float one foot to the floor and then the other. If you have a pillow in, take it out. And nod tailbone towards earth, tailbone towards sky. Again, feel even in this subtle work how you're rocking tissue. You're pulsing it. And then exhale as you lift the tailbone towards the sky. Roll up one vertebrae at a time, lifting up. Take a few three-dimensional breaths. Relaxing on the exhales. Feel yourself using the strength of the back body. You're lifting with muscles. You can even put your hands in behind your spine. Feel those muscles that are lifting the spine along the side. Feel into your glutes. Hug sit bones together to make sure the glutes are turned on. Your hamstrings and the back of the legs are lifting the femur bones. Here you can hug inner thigh to inner thigh. Don't bring the knees together, but just become conscious of the inner thighs. Lift through the pelvic floor and lengthen the spine all the way up into the skull. And then relax the glutes so that you can roll one vertebrae at a time back down to the floor. Really try to roll through. Release into your natural lumbar curve. And again, tailbone reaches skyward. Peel the sacrum off. Peel the spine off as you lift. Activate your glutes. Lift with the lower spine. This time, let's bring palm to face palm across the body and press into the humerus bones. Lift the heart. Now you're active across the chest and the back body. Come back to your fluid three-dimensional breath. Glutes active, lifting the pelvis. Humerus bones pressing evenly back to lift the heart. Make sure that you maintain a natural curve to your cervical spine. If it feels like you're straining your neck, come down a little bit. You can keep the humerus bones active, but you don't have to strain the neck. Fluid breath. Three-dimensional breath pulsing inside the torso. And then exhale, release the sacrum to the floor. Turn yourselves over and come onto hands and knees. Let's bring a block beneath the right shin. Okay, so Mary Craig, you haven't been here. These are strengtheners for the multifidi, the spinal muscles along your spine that stabilize. So we step the right shin onto the block on hands and knees. And then I don't know if you can see me well. I'll turn this way. Come a little closer. You're on hands and knees. If you need support for your wrists, you could actually bring, if you had three blocks under them. You're going to lower the floating shin towards the floor and then lift it back up and lower. So your pelvis turns a little at an angle, like your vase of flowers would fall off, and then you come back up to a tabletop. And you lower and lift and lower and lift, lower, lift. Stay broad across your shoulder girdle. Feel in. You've really awakened in the pelvis. That standing leg on the block, again, is having to do a lot of stabilizing. But we want that stability to move through the sacrum and up into the low back, up along the spine. Your abdominal core has to help you here too, to help you lift that pelvis. And you could think of that inner thigh, Jill, helping you lift that pelvis. Now lift up to your tabletop and take the floating leg out to the side like a dog at the fire hydrant. But don't go so high that you knock the vase of flowers off your sacrum. Just lift the leg out to the side and come back in. Out to the side and come back in. Gently hug in from the front of the spine, but also feel for the muscles at the back of the spine working here to help support you. One more. And then release the shin to the floor and step off. Okay. Interesting, subtle exercise. We'll take it to the other side. I think you've done these, Terry. I think we've done them in yoga a little bit. We've been doing them a lot in Pilates. Come back up so that your right shin is floating off the block. Your left shin is on the block, and we release the leg down and float it back up. The shin stays parallel with the floor as we lower and lift. You don't have to get to the floor. You're just lowering and lifting back to a tabletop at the sacrum. Really try to feel into your spine. What is working? Feel into your abdomen. Open across the shoulder girdle. Keep the front of the neck lifted. We lower and lift and lower and lift. It's just a little motion. And this time lower and lift to your tabletop. Become very aware of your tabletop. Front of the spine strong. Lift the floating leg out to the side and lower. And exhale up and inhale down, or inhale up and exhale down. Here you can be aware of your whole buttock and inner thigh. Maybe a gentle lift to the pelvic floor. Long along the spine. Come in and release the shin. Step off the blocks. Bring your big toes together, knees wide, and float back into your child's pose. Fluid breath. So I love how you all had requests that we can focus in on while still becoming aware of really moving the lymph in the body. Three-dimensional breath. Relaxing on the exhales. When we come into a pose like this, where we're folding the belly towards the bones of the femur bones, we're folding in the back of the knee, we're compressing the tissue. And then we inhale up into the tabletop and we release the tissue. Let's step the right fingertips forward and the left toes back. And float the fingers and toes off the floor. Make the arm, leg, and spine parallel. And then lower fingers and toes and lift. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. So Sharon wanted balance. Kathy wanted spine strengthening. And I wanted you to learn about the lymph. Here we're doing all of them. You could even become aware of your adductors here. Even though they're not moving together, can there be a gentle tension between them to keep you stable? Now lift up and hold, and pulse knee towards elbow and stretch. Knee towards elbow and stretch. You could be doing this standing with your hands on your chair, and release. And inhale into your cow pose. And then exhale, move into cat and take an inhale. Exhale the movement into cow and take an inhale. Exhale when you're ready. And inhale. And then come back to neutral, stepping the right hand forward and the left toes back. So those of you who can't come on hands and knees there, remember you could be standing and you could take the fingers forward and the toes back right here. You're still working on the asymmetrical balance. You're still working on the spinal strength. So then we pause and lower the hand and lower the toes and lift. Try to keep your pelvis level. That may be even harder for those of you working standing at the chair. Inhale and exhale, pulsing at your joints where we have those lymph nodes. Strengthening the spine, lift through the navel along the front of the spine, lift and exhale, elbow towards knee, and then stretch out, elbow towards knee, stretch out. If you need more help with balance, keep the hand on the chair and just pulse the knee. And then release. And either, if you're at the chair, fold back into a downward dog, hands on the chair, hands on the wall, or fold back into your child's pose. Fluid breath. Let your arms relax beside you. Those of you at the chair, just use your length of your arms to stretch the torso open. And then those of you in child's pose, roll up into your downward dog. Bend your knees, take the spine long. Pause as we continue to build upper body strength. Three-dimensional breath. Float forward into a plank. Long spine, strong from the underside. You can do this, hands on the chair, feet stepping back. Three-dimensional breath. Feel how the breath can pulse the tissue. And if you'd like to, you can rock your heels back and forth slightly, opening the toes. And then release and come back around to be on your back again. Bring your bolster or your block in under your sacrum. And let yourself rest in a supported bridge. Broad across the shoulder girdle. Relaxing into the hug of gravity. Breathing deep into the bowl of the pelvis. On the exhales, relaxing the front body onto the back body. Feel your feet gently hugging the floor. Your pelvis resting. Your pelvis a little higher than your heart. Now we release blood flow towards the thalamus and the thyroid and the pineal and pituitary glands. You can stay here, or you can gently lift one leg at a time skyward, knees bent in towards the torso for your inversion. Letting gravity help you release the lymph down the legs into the train stations at the groins. And then gently release one foot to the floor and then the other. And press the bolster out to rest under the knees. Tune in to your fluid breath. Feel how energy ripples through the tissue with your breath. If you'd like a blanket, you can draw it in and make yourself really comfortable for Shavasana. Resting a little more deeply into the hug of gravity with each exhale. The breath is like a ripple of wind across the water of a pond. Gently moving the waters of the body. Intentionally invite your adductors and your outer hips and your pelvic floor to relax. Invite the whole length of the spine to relax. The organs and the intestines to relax back into the hug of gravity and into the gentle pulse of your breath. Now gently draw energy back into your fingers and toes. You can stretch the fingers, the hands, the feet, pulsing. And then gently begin to stretch and move in whatever way feels good to your body. And as you're ready, roll yourselves over and come up to a comfortable seat. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. Let's bow our heads into this beautiful mystery in the body, to the areas we paid attention to today, to the 2,500 kilometers of lymph waterways. May we all be in good health and may we be happy in the new year. Thank you for coming to class. That was wonderful. Good.